In this video, we wanted to discuss why personal experience is not convincing when it comes to truth claims, particularly in respect to the supernatural. So we rely on personal experience to make sense of the world we live in. Hence, personal experience is brought up in conversations every day. For example, your friend tells you he saw a car accident that now blocks the road you need to take to get home. Given this information, you can make adjustments to your trip home with minimal impact, whether the information was true or false. So given this is acceptable, why isn't personal experience acceptable in all scenarios?
There is a large number of people who claim to have been abducted by aliens. Some of them even claim it has happened multiple times.
So you believe in these kind of things?
Let's just say I want to believe.
Ooh, welcome back to the Most News in the Morning. All this week, we're bringing you a special series in search of aliens. And today, we're talking to a man who says he has made contact and says he's actually been abducted by aliens more than once. Space correspondent Miles O'Brien is here. I don't mean to make fun, but come on.
Well, that's actually not unusual. A lot of abductees have had the experience more than one time. We're talking about close encounters of the fourth kind. That's when a human is abducted by an alien. Now, before you scoff, Carol,
I'm sorry,
and tune this out, these people we talk to are not crazy people. The majority of the people who say this has happened to them do not have symptoms of mental illness. They are ordinary people who swear they have endured a most extraordinary encounter.
So how come we don't just accept someone's claim that they were abducted by aliens? The significance of the claim and the likelihood of that claim being true both influence our level of skepticism in such a scenario. In the absence of physical evidence, acceptance of a claim is heavily influenced by our own personal experiences. For example, people will generally show very little skepticism towards the car crash example because they have likely experienced both the existence of a car and the fact they are often involved in accidents. The impact this has is also of little significance to that individual's life. In regards to the existence of aliens, however, most people have not experienced either the existence of aliens or the knowledge they perform abductions. Having never experienced any physical evidence in regards to the existence of aliens prior to hearing the person's claim means acceptance of the claim is generally withheld unless physical evidence is supplied. The need for physical evidence also becomes greater in respect to the level of impact that claim has on future decision-making and a person's model of reality. So when someone makes a claim to have been abducted by aliens, it must be followed by a relative amount of physical evidence in order to substantiate the claim.
So let's apply this on a larger scale. Thousands of people claim to have been abducted by aliens. So how come even despite the sheer number of experiences, we still don't accept them as facts? For one, the fact that there are thousands of accounts and still no physical evidence makes the problem larger for those claiming they were abducted by aliens. A greater number of experiences provides a greater number of chances for physical evidence, such as a recovered item from the ship or an in-focus camera shot of an alien, to be acquired, and the lack of evidence in a situation where we would expect evidence drastically weakens the claim. What if you believe you have been abducted by aliens and someone tells you a story where they were also abducted by aliens? Does that make it reasonable to believe? Even if you have a similar experience to someone else, it doesn't mean it actually happened as you recall it. Anecdotal evidence cannot be verified with further anecdotal evidence, as memory can be flawed. Human recollection is far from ideal. Memory can fail in one of two ways, the first being unable to recall an event entirely, and the second being recalling an event inaccurately. We recognize the first happens, but much less so towards the second, as we are usually over-optimistic in regard to the accuracy of our own memories. The reason for this is most times you recall something, it isn't fact-checked, as it is a memory unique to the individual, hence there is no verification outside of themselves, and as the memory is theirs, there is no chance for correction other than against memories held by that individual. It has been demonstrated that memories change over time and with retelling. If the memory is blurred, the imagination can fill in the gaps, and the way the memory is recalled changes depending on how the question is asked. Check out our link in the description to read more.
We can also be deceived. Our memory of an event is subject to our level of perception at the time of the event. If we perceive something inaccurately but are unaware of our perception being deceived, then we will recall their memory as if it was truly accurate. For example, if you see a live show of Chris Angel flying, you are left with some options. Firstly, he could be deceiving you, you could be hallucinating, or he could actually be flying. When we rationally approach this situation, we realize that there is evidence for people deceiving each other, especially magicians who make a career out of it. We know that people can have hallucinogenic episodes for a multitude of reasons, and we have no evidence for a person who can actually fly unassisted. Hence, the first two explanations become far more likely. Apply this to our alien example. We know people have false memories. We also know that people can have hallucinations or misinterpret experiences. However, we have no physical evidence that aliens actually exist, let alone have visited Earth. Hence, the earlier explanations become the most rational and likely until physical evidence is presented. So what about claims regarding supernatural experiences? Let's take the example of near-death experiences and witnessing the afterlife.
But some of these experiences are very unpleasant. I wonder if I could just talk to Jenny Chislett, who I know has had an experience like this.
When I was 18, I was crushed against the wall by a lorry. I was living in France at the time, and I was rushed to hospital. And I was told afterwards I was in a coma for 3 days. All I remember is that I was walking through a vast landscape. It was as if a bushfire had gone through. It was all dark and ash everywhere. It was a grey sky. I was completely alone. I felt completely alone. I was very frightened. I was only 18. And I could hear in the distance an echoing, knocking sound. And for some reason, I've no idea why, I thought to myself, they're nailing Christ to the cross. I don't want to see this.
Were you religious? Are you religious?
No, not all. I mean, yes, I believe in God, but that's...
So this wasn't a scene from some religious
No, it was
book?
just something that came to my mind, and I went on walking across this place all by myself. In front of me was a chasm. On the other side of the chasm was, as so many people see, a beautiful garden. I didn't hear any sound. I saw sunlight and I could see it was a beautiful garden.
Like heaven?
Like
and the
heaven.
other was like hell?
Well, yes, I suppose it was, but I didn't really know at that age. You know, I was
Did you get
alone.
into the beautiful garden?
No, because I started walking towards the chasm and I suddenly thought, wait a minute, if I go across that chasm, I'm going to die. I'm only 18, I'm too young to die, I've got a whole life before me. And I don't remember, I don't remember going back. I just thought to myself, I don't want to die.
Right.
If someone tells you they had a near-death experience and saw heaven, we apply the same logic as before. When the brain is in a dying state, it is deprived of oxygen and large amounts of neurotransmitters are released, making hallucinations very likely. We also know that people can aim to try and deceive to try and provide evidence for their belief systems. And as outlined previously, we know memory recollection can be faulty. The last conclusion we are left with is that the supernatural exists, and part of it is an afterlife for which we have no verifiable evidence of. Given this, it makes all previous explanations far more likely and the only reasonable ones to consider until verifiable evidence can be presented. Although it may seem common sense that any significant claim should require physical evidence in order for people to accept them, we see situations every day where personal experience is used to justify beliefs or actions even in the absence of evidence. This doesn't mean human experience is an invalid source of information, just think twice next time you use an anecdote as reasoning for your actions or beliefs. Thanks for watching. Click that subscribe button and you'll get regular videos in return. Also, hit the like button and share this video around to help us raise the bar of public discourse.